We have with us Mr. TV Narendran and Kaushik Chatterjee of Tata Steel to talk us through one of the very special events that they have organized called Samvad, and also to give us some brief on the steel industry. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for speaking with us. First of all, let me ask you about Samvad. What really is this event, and how is Tata Steel involved?
Well, we thought about this last year. Last year was the first edition of Samvad. We've been working with the tribal communities for almost 100 years. We've traditionally focused on education, entrepreneurship, employment and employability. Entrepreneurship being the one which we've been doing work on over the last few years. But as we started dealing with them even more closely, we realized that we were not celebrating the tribal identity enough. And unless you celebrate the tribal identity and understand the ethnicity and the culture, the music, the languages, you will not be able to understand them well. And unless you understand them well, you will not be able to understand their aspirations, which are changing by the day, and engage with them in a more positive way. So that was the objective. And last year when we did this event, the response was overwhelming. The feedback was great. So even last year we announced that we will be doing it every year, and today is a great day to do it because it's Birsa Munda Jayanti and Jharkhand Divas as well. So we picked this day and we will do this every year.
Alright. Sir, if I may ask you, Tata Steel being an industry that's usually set up in the rural belts, and Jharkhand being a tribal area, this sort of an event is a good event to connect with the population where you work. With this as the backdrop, how do you see the land acquisition policy that the government is trying to push forth, and where do you think these two can be merged?
So first of all, I think, as Naren said, this is a wonderful platform. It's not about Tata Steel, it's actually about the Adivasi community and the tribals in India. As you see that they have come from all across the country, and this is a platform where there are some very fundamental issues for discussion, which is important in terms of converging with the mainstream as far as India is concerned. And in that there is a conservation and preservation of language, culture, as well as their indigenous way of life, which leads to protection from whatever they have, namely land and whatever properties they have. So I think the land acquisition bill, I don't want to be sounding controversial, but effectively there is an existing bill today. There is a political issue of whether this is right or some changes has to be happened. But as far as we stand today, there is a parliamentary approval of the earlier bill. So one has to see how it works. If there is any improvement that is fair to both the business enterprise as well as to the people who own land, it will certainly be on a consultative mode. And if, like it happened in the last time, I'm sure that the government will look at from a 360-degree point of view and see whether any changes need to be done. And I don't want to comment on the political dynamics of it, but effectively land is required for more industrialization in India. However, it is not at the cost of the community or not depriving them of what is fair to them. A good balance is something that the country looks for always as an answer.
And you're really looking forward to that bill being passed as an industry, which is going to set up a more...
Yeah, so effectively there are some practical issues in the earlier bill which needs to be smoothened out. If that is the case, because there is no debate of the fact that the bill earlier to the 2013 bill had become archaic. So we needed a new bill. So there's a new act which has come in place. It needs to be polished and smoothened around the edges to make it work.
All right. If I may ask you, sir, of the steel industry and the demand scenario, quite weak if we talk about it, and you've spoken quite a lot about it. Add to that the China dumping steel products in India. How is Tata Steel strategizing to deal in this situation?
Well, firstly, we are a bit positive on the demand side, because if the government spends on infrastructure, which it's intending to, and if the GDP grows at 7-8%, the steel consumption should grow at 7-8% sooner than later. So we are more bullish on the demand than we are on the prices, because the prices will depend a lot on how much on the problems China has and how they're trying to solve those problems. As far as Tata Steel is concerned, what is external to us we can't control. We need to be prepared for all situations. We need to ride the down cycle well. And we focus on managing our costs well, managing the value that we deliver to customers and the realizations we get, and which is reflected in the performance, in some sense of the term. We've delivered on an underlying basis a 20% EBITDA margin over the last 2 quarters, which is the outcome of a lot of effort by a lot of people. And this is also at a point in time when we've been using a lot of the imported iron ore that we had bought last year. So going forward, as our mines get sorted out, most of the mine issues are sorted out, as our ferroalloys division is back on track, as we have more initiatives to manage the costs which are in our control, and as we continue to build on the marketing franchise that we have, I think we are probably better positioned than most other steel companies to ride the down cycle, and Tata Steel has done that many times in the past, and we are confident we'll do it in the future as well.
Sir, with Kalinga Nagar facility commissioning in December itself is what I read. How are you playing on the pricing front? Do you think the demand scenario in India, domestic demand scenario, is good enough and strong enough for the plant?
Well, we've always run full out, even when we expanded in Jamshedpur from 7 to 10 million, the GDP growth was 5% at that time. Auto industry was shrinking, at 10-15% a year at that time. Despite that, the 3 million tons additional volume was sold, and we've always run our plants full out. The only time we were running slightly less than full out was last year when all our mines were closed for a period. We were at 90%. So we are running full out today, even the first half, and we have inventory is well under control, data is well under control. So we think that we have a strong enough marketing franchise, good relationships with our customers. We continue to be the preferred supplier for many customers. We have a strong market share in the distribution and branded business and in the automobile business. And we are developing the ECA segment, which is SME segment, which we've done a lot of work over the last few years. So we are confident that whatever we produce, we'll be able to sell. Every time when we expand, we have a plan to export, thinking that we won't be able to sell in India, but we've always seen that we managed to sell everything in India, so we're confident we'll be able to do that.
So overall, from the domestic cycle side, if I ask about the pricing, what sort of changes do you anticipate in the coming?
See, pricing will depend on what happens internationally, pricing will depend on the exchange rate, pricing will also depend on many other factors, the demand side as well. The safeguard duty has brought some stability. We had in our press conference after the first half results, we had said that this quarter we had expected it to be about 1,000 to 1,500 rupees weaker than last quarter. But let's wait and see if October has not been too bad, and we will continue to see how things are.
Particularly on Kalinga Nagar facility, what sort of a capacity ramp up are we looking at, and what would be the plan?
It's a 3 million ton facility. So the next few months is going to be trial runs of all the facilities, because it is a single line. We have one sinter plant, one coke oven, one blast furnace. So we want to make sure that all the equipments are in good shape before we really ramp up, because these kind of facilities, once you ramp up, you cannot have one facility going down while the other is ramping up. So we will get all the alignments and preparation in place, and next year will be the year when we are really going to maximize the production.
Right, sir. One of the biggest challenges that Tata Steel saw in the last few quarters was that of Europe. Do you think the challenges are now over as far as Europe is concerned post the restructuring, and when do you see that business come back to EBITDA positive?
So I think last year Europe basically makes its profit out of the margin or the spread between raw material prices and steel prices. Last year, 2014-15, it did have a healthy EBITDA margin, especially out of Netherlands, whereas UK had challenges because of a stronger pound, higher business rates and energy costs and so on, and a weaker demand. So I think in this particular year, we've been seeing significant amount of headwinds as far as the UK is concerned. However, we will work towards making Netherlands even more competitive, and that's the focus. And as you've seen, we've taken some restructuring initiatives as far as UK is concerned. Next 12 months would see some of these restructuring getting implemented, and after which we will also need structurally the market to support, because as far as the Euroland is concerned, that's fairly stable, though it has been weaker in the recent months. But we have issues and challenges as far as UK is concerned.
So as far as the debt reduction plan is concerned, how is Tata Steel now working towards it? Would we look at some sort of stake sale or fundraising plan from that?
No, so I think we have raised a significant amount of capital through sale of stake in the first half, and that has gone. We've almost reduced about 3,000 crores of debt in the first half, in spite of having spent almost 5,600 crores of capex. So that's a significant amount. And as Naren said, the initiatives that are undertaken in Jamshedpur and the rest of our business units, as they help our internal generations, we will continue to look at the debt profile. The debt profile has largely been stable over the last 6-8 months. And with Kalinga Nagar coming down in terms of capex requirement as it gets completed, some of our immediate capex requirement will come down. May not be very significant. We've guided a certain number in the first half, but it's natural that it will come down. So we will look at a stable debt situation, and when the internal generation becomes bigger, then it is a question of how do you handle the EBITDA vis-a-vis the net debt. So I don't think there is any immediate need to rush into raising anything, but we will do it in a progressive manner, because Tata Steel is not going to stop where it has stopped, where it is finished in first phase. We want to be a company which has got plans for growth, but we will balance prudently between capital structure, balance sheet, cash flows and requirements of growth.
But so what sort of a timeline should we look forward to?
Well, this timeline is a long-term timeline, so you should look at couple of years, and that's how one should move forward, because we do have a significant debt which we had committed out of the project finance in Kalinga Nagar, but we have drawn very little out of that. So we largely use our internal cash flows. So there is a fair bit of headroom. Now you can't build a greenfield steel plant without debt, without equity. So it's just not a possible kind of a plan. So we will balance out as we go forward. The good thing is it is an organic growth. So organic growth doesn't require immediate capital. It requires capital as you build. So that gives us the flexibility to play between what we generate, what we can borrow, what we can raise, and what we need to spend. So that's what we will do.
What would be the target for FY17 then, if I may ask?
Target of?
For the debt reduction?
No, I think you should see that this year we have repaid about 3,700 crores in the first few months and prepaid about 3,000 crores. So almost about net debt of 5,000 to 6,000 crores. I think I wouldn't give you a number at this point of time, but we will look at debt reduction. See, debt reduction is not by an outcome by itself. It's a function of also of your earning capability.
Right.
If your earning capability increases because of the initiatives that we take internally, you can keep that debt and use it for capex or use it for something which will create that value. So I don't want to take a target and get locked into it, but it will all depend on how the next 12 months operating environment plays out.
So last question, and I would make it two-part. One is, you've spoken about hiving off and selling off your long products business. What's the plan there?
That's in Europe.
Yes, and the second is, your plans as far as the value-added steel products is concerned, because a lot of steel companies are getting into value-added to differentiate and strategize and be a partner market.
So I'll take the first one. As far as I think if you look at the public announcement that Carl made post our results, and we have publicly stated that we would like to focus on strips, and we had gone through a process with another buyer, but that did not fructify, and we are looking at other alternate options. What can be done as far as the long products business is concerned. So I don't think we need to add beyond what we have already made public.
How much do you intend to raise out of selling that?
No, so
how would you be valuing it?
No, so as I said, that in today's market, in the Western European world, for a long products business in the UK, we would rather look at the sustainability aspect of how you deal with it rather than maximizing of valuation, because I think it's a very challenging operating environment at this point. So we are not doing it for value purposes. We are looking at it from a strategic purpose to focus on strips.
All right, sir. So as far as the value-added products is concerned,
we've always, in some sense, led the way on value-added products. So one is we have all our downstream facilities. We are the largest wire business in India. We are the largest tin plate business in India. We are the largest pipes business in India. So that itself is a degree of value addition. We are the largest supplier to the auto industry. We have a 45% share. And as the auto industry grows and as Kalinga Nagar comes in, we hope to increase the share as well as grow the absolute volumes. With Kalinga Nagar, we have the product mix to service the oil and gas industry, which, like the auto industry, is a very approval-driven and quality-focused industry. We will also service the lifting and earth-moving equipment industry. These are all high-end industries as far as the qualities of steel are concerned, so that helps us with the mix. We have a very strong franchise with distribution and branded business. We have a B2C business which is very strong. today it's 20% of the revenue, we want to take it to 30%. That's a pure B2C. Almost 50% of the volumes goes through the distribution channels. We are also moving more and more into services and solutions. So where we are maybe 1 to 2% of revenue, and we want to take it to some 20% of revenue in the next 5-6 years. So the journey continues, and hopefully we will have more and more success as we go along.
And you're hopeful of the minings and the mines supporting your business. You've got a recent approval for a sand mine here.
Sand mines approvals are in place. That helps our underground mines because you need the sand for the storage. The most important are the iron ore mines. The iron ore mines in Odisha have all been renewed till 2030. The one in Jharkhand is there's a issue which we are, so it's operational, but there is an issue which we are sorting out through the courts. And once that is sorted out, then hopefully that will also get renewed till 2030. The ferroalloy mines are already renewed till 2020. So I think most of the mining issues are behind us, and we look forward.
Raw materials are taken care of.
100% of the iron ore is today taken care of. Coal was anyway always only 35%, so that continues. We continue to import the balance 65%. So that status, there is no change.
All right, gentlemen. Very, very nice talking to you. Thank you so much, and congratulations for Samvad.
Thank you.